Hello and welcome, students. I hope you're doing fine and being safe during these times. Thank you for choosing to watch this video. I truly hope that you can enjoy it and learn from it. My name is Clarissa, and I will teach you about the topic of Costa Rican traditions and customs. In this video, we will study specifically the topic of Costa Rican folk tales and legends. We are only focusing on the legends part for this video. So, the agenda for today's video will be a short introduction on the topic of legends of Costa Rica. Then, we are going to see the vocabulary needed for better understanding. After that, we are going to read the legend together, and we are going to identify the parts of the story. Please pay attention to those, since the practice will be about them. Then, we are going to do a short practice of the vocabulary and the parts of the story. Remember that there is more practice and review material in the description box below. And as a conclusion, we are going to review the concepts seen in the video. So firstly, what are legends? And if you know what legends are, what do you know about Costa Rican legends? Do you know any specifically? The definition of legend is a traditional story which is historical but not real. We are going to focus on one specific legend, which is situated in Costa Rica and many of your parents and grandparents probably know about. But before we hear the legend, we will cover the specific vocabulary that we are going to use for this lesson. The vocabulary for this lesson is going to be related to the legend. If you know the legend, you will probably be able to guess the name of the legend. Now the vocabulary for the lesson is the following: lifestyle, crimson, cadejos, and the phrases are straighten his life out, which means to fix one's life, sketchy places, which means a place that seems weird or even dangerous, party animal refers to a person that goes often to parties. Settle down means to become quiet, calm, and orderly. And deaf ears means to ignore things. Now that we have seen the vocabulary, we are going to read the legend. Now, we have the text on the screen as well as the document, with the script in the description part below. If you want, you can read with me. Now we will start. The legend begins with a young man from the city of Cartago named Joaquin. Joaquin was what one might call a party animal. Sadly, Joaquin liked to go overboard and drink way too much. His hard partying lifestyle began to affect those around him, especially his parents. Over the years, Joaquin's lifestyle would be the cause of much frustration for his father, who often begged his son to settle down and straighten his life out. For months, he begged and pleaded with the wild boy to lead a saner life, but Joaquin continued to party day in and day out. Eventually, the man stopped being so nice to his son, leading to loud arguments with the boy about his lifestyle, all of which seemed to fall on deaf ears. One day, Joaquin went out on the bender to end all benders, hitting every bar in the city, visiting several sketchy places, and having a wild time doing so. For 7 days the boy drank and partied to excess, paying no heed to the protests of his father in living with reckless abandon. When Joaquin eventually returned to his family home, his father was beyond furious. As his son attempted to explain where he had been, the man simply stared at his son. His rage changed his eyes to a crimson color, and as he began to speak to his son, the boy's eyes took a similar shade. The man launched an irate tirade at the boy, yelling and cursing at him for hours. Over time, the curses began to change the boy, turning him into a large black dog known as cadejos. The beast now wanders across the country, following partiers who have had a bit too much to drink and scaring them back onto the right path. If you don't want to meet the cadejos, I suggest to always party responsibly. Now, after reading the story, What do you think? Are there any specific parts which are distinctive or highlighted? The answer is yes. In every story or legend, there are specific parts which should be taken into consideration when it comes to reading, understanding, and analyzing the story. These parts are crucial for the proper development of the story and make it interesting and easy to read. The parts of the story consist of exposition, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. The exposition explains us the basic settings of the story. It explains where the story takes place, which characters are involved, and some basic details about the story, introducing us slightly into the story. The example for our legend is that there is Joaquin, our protagonist, the parents, especially the father, and we know that the story takes place in the province of Cartago. The conflict part explains us the conflict or the trouble or issue that the characters are facing. Moreover, it explains the struggle between opposing forces that drives the action of the story. The example for our legend is that Joaquin is a party animal and does not listen to his father. The rise in action part is where the original conflict increases and actions are taken. The example for our legend is the part where Joaquin goes partying for a whole week and returns home to his parents. Then his father lectures him. The climax part is where the peak of the action or conflict occurs. The example for our legend is when the father is fighting and cursing Joaquin. Also when the slowly transformation of Joaquin into the cadejo takes place. The falling action part is when the conflict of the story decreases. The example in this legend is when Joaquin realizes that he is now a cursed dog. Joaquin will now abandon his home as a dog. The resolution part explains or showcases the outcome of the conflict. The conflict can be resolved or not, and the outcome can be positive or negative. The example for our legend is when Joaquin must accompany party animals like himself and scare them into settling down. Now that we have seen the vocabulary, know the story and know which parts of the story there are, we are going to do a small practice. For the practice part of the story, we are going to check our knowledge on the legend, then we are going to assign the parts of the story to the legend parts. Firstly, we will answer some questions related to the legend. Which was the main character? Does the story include magic? Where does the story take place? Are there any animals present in the story? Now we are going to answer the questions. The main character is Joaquin. The story includes magic. It is seen when Joaquin's father curses him and turns him into the cadejo. The story takes place in Cartago. Yes, there are animals present in the story. Joaquin turns into a big black dog with red eyes. Now we are going to identify which parts of the story belong to previously learned concepts. You can see short information bubbles on the screen as well as a part of the story concepts. Match the information with the corresponding concept. The matchings are 1. Joaquin, father, Cartago. 2. Joaquin gets cursed by his father. 3. Joaquin is a cadejo and will accompany party people. The answers are 1. Exposition, 2. Climax, 3. Resolution. Now we will see a short summary of what we have learned during the video. We saw the vocabulary for the legend, which was lifestyle, crimson, cadejos, and some phrases like straighten his life out, sketchy places, party animal, settle down, and deaf ears. Then we listened to the legend and learned about the different parts of the story, which are exposition, conflict, rise in action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Now please watch the video again if you have any doubts and check out quizzes and practices for self-evaluation in the description box below. With these quizzes, you will be able to practice the previously seen vocabulary and structures to evaluate your knowledge of the topic. As a finishing note, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about Legends of Costa Rica. Also, I wanted to inform you that the new videos about different topics will appear soon on this channel, so please be aware of these new uploads so that you can watch them all and practice. Thank you very much for watching this video, take care and have a nice rest of your day.